distracted, when devotion shows up, they want devotion to get out of the way because devotion says, I'm always distracted. So when someone shows up, to make it plain, and they work and they tell the boss, you know what, boss, I got to go spend some time with my family. I'm not going to stay here past 5 o'clock. And then the other person who's been staying there to 8, 9 o'clock at night looks at him and say, what? Oh, hold up, Doc. We don't do that around here. Why? Because you've been called out that you're not devoted to your family anymore. Your job has replaced your family. This is how it happens, right? And so what they do is they try to now find a way to cause the person who's devoted to their family to have to work more hours. Well, you know, we got this group project going on. We can't do it without you. Now, I know you got to choose now which one is more important. The traditional family dinner at night or being here after hours getting this project done. Y'all see how it works? And so devotion, when you lose sight of what you're really devoted to, your distractions begin to take over. And what happens now? Brokenness enters into your life. So the disciples tell Jesus, send her away, for she keeps crying out after us. And so Jesus, being wise enough to perceive what's going on, he's discerning now. He's saying, okay, the disciples don't really know where this woman's faith is. Let me show them. Let me test them. Because, see, sometimes we have to see people being tested and pass the test to know that they are sincere about what they came for. So watch what Jesus does. He says to the woman, because he's going to test her a little bit, he's going to say, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel, meaning I was only sent to my Jewish brothers and sisters. Now, everybody who knows Jesus around this time knows that Jesus is ministering to Gentiles. But look at what he tells the woman, I'm not sent to you. Go away. Then she now bows down and worships Jesus and says, Lord, help me. You say, okay. God sometimes tests us whether or not we're devoted by creating another distraction. Watch out. Watch this now. Watch this. Let me stay with the work example. I'm going to push this a little bit more. When you successfully now say to the job, I'm going to now take time away from working after hours and get off at a regular time, 5 o'clock maybe, and not 8 p.m., so I can have devotional time with my family, watch what God's going to do. God's going to say, well, now since you got a little bit more time now in your schedule, don't give that to your family. Find something else to put into that space so that now you can say it's going to help your family again. One distraction, now that you freed yourself from to get devoted again, now there's a new distraction that's introduced. Now what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to say, I will not be sidetracked. You're supposed to say, I freed myself up so that I can now be devoted to my family. So I'm not going to allow another distraction to keep me from being devoted to my family. And so what Jesus does, he throws another distraction out there to see if she truly wants to be delivered. And so he says, I'm not sent to the law. I'm only sent to the lost sheep of Israel. Verse 25, the woman came and kneeled down before him and says, Lord, help me. He replied, it is right. He sends another distraction. It is right. It is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. Yet it is, Lord, she says. Now here's where the correction happens. She says, God, Jesus, I understand that you're sent only to Israel. I understand that I may be asking for Israel's blessing. But I just want the crumbs. I don't have to have the house that you're about to promise them. I don't have to have the cars that you're about to promise them. I don't even have to have the land that you're about to give them. All I want is some favor from you. That's all I need. Give me the access to the banker and tell him I got credit that's good and you can count on it. You don't have to pay back the loan. I got it myself. She was just asking for crumbs, right? And so Jesus throws another distraction out there to say, are you willing to take whatever I offer you as your solution? And she says, yes, Lord. Now, how many of us have allowed for ourselves to be distracted from our call in God's ministry because we said, everything is not in order. And you say, well, if God wanted me to be successful, he'll lay it all out for me. But if he did that, you wouldn't have to, it wouldn't require your faith. Lack inspires faith. Abundance decreases faith. So watch what God does. God says to us, whatever you want from me, I'm going to throw you the crumbs of it. And see if you have enough faith to take the crumbs and make bread. Are y'all with me? And so she says, devotion says, whatever you give me, God, I'm going to take the little that you give me, and if it's enough, if you say it's enough, then I'm going to transform that thing into my blessing. Are y'all with me? Faith increases when we receive just enough. Watch this now. Then, verse 28, then Jesus said to her, woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And her daughter was healed at that very moment. Now, here's the caveat. If you stay on track, even with the crumbs, even with just enough encouragement to get you through the next hour, enough money to get you to the next week, enough of whatever you need to get you to the next moment, if you just grab it and say, God, I fully accept it and I believe in you to make my provision, guess what God's going to do? He said, that's all I was asking for in the first place. Jesus said, don't, I threw it down there. The crumbs fell from the table. I threw it down. Don't eat those crumbs. It was just a test. It was just a test. Because what the crumbs could not give you, I have already given you. See what Jesus is doing. Don't get distracted by the crumbs. The crumbs are there temporarily to see if you're really willing to trust God for it all. Are y'all with me? And so Jesus is remembering how faith was built with his own people in the wilderness. God gave them manna from heaven, right? It was enough for the day. What happened? They tried to eat it beyond the time it was provided for them. It spoiled. Faith is to produce daily dependence on God. And so when God gives you a crumb, take the crumb.